quick message before we go into this. This is not me bragging. I also know other people are probably far ahead of me. There's also probably a lot of people that are behind me. I want to make this very clear, though, that I'm not bragging in any way, shape, or form. I just like to share my finances with people. I think this is helpful to kind of see where other people in your age group or your peers are kind of at, and helps you kind of gauge what kind of account should I be invested in, where should I be placing my money, etc. But that's not your value as a person, obviously. But I just have to get that out because I don't want anyone to be uncomfortable. I know money is a sensitive topic, so please don't take it that way. And if you're far ahead of me and you think that I'm doing terribly, also totally okay, let me know. Haters, leave comments. I would love it. But anyways, I will get into the video right now. All right, guys, welcome to the year-end 2023 net worth reveal video. I'm just gonna hop right into it, starting off with my retirement accounts. I'll have the amounts and graphics change here so you can kind of see it visualized. But in 2022, so I had $31,139 at the end of the year. Coming into the end of 2023, we are up to $49,535 for retirement specific accounts. This is my Roth IRA, 401k, rollover IRA, all combined into one accumulated amount, essentially, just so it's easier to see this way. And that's up 59%. So quite a nice return there, but also factors in contributions I made as well. Car value. So I'll display this on the screen. Every year I do the offer from Carvana to kind of keep it consistent. And every year it has gone down except one year, which we all know when used car values even, were skyrocketing. But for the most part, cars do depreciate, so this is pretty expected. I also have a Kia, which if you know the news, they are very susceptible to theft, which I think is definitely is that the right word? Dampening maybe its value. I feel like that's a better word. So in 2022, it was worth $12,937 as an offer from Carvana. Did the same offer. Again, though, I have driven miles on it as well, so you have to factor that in, but not a ton. It's now $11,400, or a decline of 11.88%, so nearly 12% down in value since last year, which is pretty crazy. So yeah, but that's, yeah. Unfortunately, I just kind of made the bad move with that. I'm just kind of praying that my car does not get smashed into in the middle of the night. Crypto. This is, I think, no, it is not actually. I thought it was the biggest increase, but it is not. Percentage increase. So in 2022, we ended the year way down at $6,523. Now ending the year, we are at $12,920, or an increase of 98%. That being said, we are still off from the peak. So it's no real telling where crypto will go. Obviously, huge dramatic spikes up and down. That's just kind of part of owning crypto. But I think we're about, if I remember correctly, I think my peak was like 8,000 to 9,000 more than this. So we're still off from that peak point. And I also did purchase 0.20 Ethereum in 2023, which also kind of adds to total value. My brokerage account. So I've not added a lot actually to my brokerage account this year because I've mostly been putting it towards savings, which I'll go into later in the video. But brokerage, I had $49,401 in 2022. Now we're up to $53,659. Most things in here as well, dividend paying companies, which I've way trimmed down my total number of holdings, because I want it to be more of a portfolio that I specifically can look at each investment and manage that way. And I don't think, obviously, I'll beat the market, but it's kind of a fun thing for me. Anyways, though, that aside, it's up 8.61%. So good stuff there. I think is way below the market, but what can you do? Anyways, emergency fund, $6,159 in 2022. Part of my emergency fund is invested in the market, which generally is not advisable for most people, not financial advice, but it's obviously a pretty risky move when you kind of want your emergency fund to be liquid. Yeah, but about half of that is liquid cash, half of that is in the market. Market did pretty well this year, coming back from 2022, which did help the emergency fund. I also put more cash in there just to kind of boost the cash side of things, just because of inflation. I wanted to make sure my purchasing power remained the same in case I ever had to use that emergency fund. So $6,159 in 2022. It's now $8,345 in 2023, which is a 35.49% increase. So now we have savings, which is basically composed of my high yield savings as well as originally at least the amount I had in there was $5,000 in I bonds, but obviously they're paid interest, inside that account, so it's worth more than $5,000 now. But I've been trying to save more and more each month, specifically for a down payment on a house in the future. Will that ever come? Because I think I've talked about this in all renditions of this video each year. I don't know. But it really can't hurt to have money in savings in general, or just general liquid cash savings, which is basically what that is outside of the I bonds. So yeah, $6,167 in 2022, now up to $12,555, or an increase of 103.58%. Believe it or not the biggest percentage increase of this year. That is the next account, which is my HSA. If you don't know, that's a health savings account. I had $3,170 in 2022, up to now in 2023, $7,885, or an increase of 148.73%. I've started taking the HSA much more seriously. Since I've taken my position at Fidelity and been able to move my HSA funds to be with Fidelity as well, I can invest more in other things that I like to invest in, as well as just general funds, which really obviously helped them as well, just because the market's on a tear in general this year. So that helped. So yeah, that is all of my accounts for this year. I'm 99% sure I'm not leaving anything out. So last year, my total net worth was $115,497. Pretty good, but actually down last year, like 3 or 4%, something like that. This year, however, everything combined is $156,299, up 35.33%, which is fantastic. Even accounting for the rise in the market and contributions, I think I still did pretty well overall, those factors considered. So really nice to see. Hard work pays off. Really steamrolling. I feel like I can honestly hit 200K, I feel like, by the end of 2024, but we'll see. That is obviously dependent as well on the market cooperating with me. And you never know what's going to happen with that. But quite a nice rally, though, to be up to 156K. I did not honestly think I was even going to go above 150. This is a surprise in many levels, but a happy surprise. Some large expenses for the year. Weddings. They continue to hammer me. It's just something I think, especially in your 20s and 30s, maybe even 40s. No, probably just 20s and 30s mostly, but you're going to get a lot of weddings, and there's just not really a lot you can do about them. And there's obviously a positive side to weddings. I enjoy going to weddings for the most part. But I probably spent around, and this is on the low end, around $1,300 to $1,500 on weddings this year. Just between gifts, traveling. Part of what I'm spending in this amount is travel expenses for a wedding this coming year, 2024. But I had to purchase the hotel room now. So that's part of that. Just gifts in general, etc. That'll keep happening year after year for a while. But no huge deal there. Travel in general, I wasn't able to travel a lot because most of my year here was focused on taking and eventually passing my finance exams. But I was able to go to New York City once, which is the majority of the spending, Winston-Salem, where I am visiting my parents now, which was about $600 to $700. They don't live in Winston-Salem, but I don't know if they want me to say their city. But that was about $600 to $700 in travel. And then I also bought a pair of shoes, but they're on sale for $91.14. To be clear, not shoes I needed, and they were shoes I've only worn once. They're just like a pair of J's that literally sit in my closet. That was kind of a gift to myself for passing the exams. And as far as I can tell, no other discretionary type spending that I did in 2023 that I can think of. I just didn't do a lot of like random spending this year because most of the time I was literally in the library studying. That was most of my year. However, rent. So 2021, I spent $500 a month in rent, and that included utilities, a room, and a 2-bedroom apartment. 2022, I moved to Nashville. Every month, this varies obviously because of utilities, but around $875 a month in Nashville in a 3-bedroom, renting one of those 3 bedrooms, just one room. $875 a month in Nashville. Then I moved again this year to Raleigh-Durham area, where I'm again paying about $875 a month, but for an even smaller room. So there's kind of inflation right there. I'm getting less bang for my buck. Again, same situation, 3 bedrooms, I'm renting one of the rooms. My anticipation for 2024, unless something wildly changes, which you never know, my rent cost is going to absolutely skyrocket, which I'm okay with. I think I'm also going to get a bit of a pay rise in general over the next year going into 2025 as well. I anticipate my wages to continue to increase. And I'm just at that point now where I don't want to live with roommates anymore. So it's a expense I'm willing to take on. I think the roommate thing was a good idea while I did it. And I'm thankful to all those people who roommated with me. But I'm also kind of in that mode where I need some space now of my own. I also want to live downtown, which is also going to be a even bigger expense. If I were to just move in my area, at least, you can get a 1-bedroom for a little under $1,000, somewhere in the $900 to $1,000 range in a fine area. But I want to live in like a walkable downtown type of thing, at least for a year to try it out. So my rent before utilities is probably going to be around $1,300. So that's a lot, a big increase, but that's just, housing. So I think most people have way increased their housing expenses, voluntarily or not, in the last few years. So I'm okay with that. But that is my 2023 recap. I can't talk about things like my salary just because, again, my job, I'm just kind of limited there. I don't want to break rules. But if you have any questions about like what my budget is, what I spent on, I'm happy to answer any of those. If you want me to do a deeper dive in the comments on any of those accounts I listed, I can't tell you what I invested in, I should say. Maybe I can't even do a deeper dive, but feel free to ask any questions. Otherwise, I will do my best to answer them while being compliant with my company's regulations and rules, as well as the government's. But I appreciate you watching. I will see you next year. And that is it.